Hey going guys, Kurtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. Today we're going to be continuing on with the rebuilding of our milling and drilling attachment. So if you missed part 1 where we completely disassembled it, or part 2 where we made all the new parts that we needed, there'll be a link in the description below. And the goal for today is to get this completely reassembled, painted and ready to be used. And the first thing we need to do is get all of these parts cleaned. And the liquid I'm using in my parts washer, it is Jet A1, so it's purified kerosene. I find it much better for removing dirt and grease, and when it dries, it doesn't leave an oily residue like diesel does. That's all of our parts cleaned. Everything came up really nice. I was also doing an inspection as I was cleaning everything, and the only damage I found was one roller on a thrust bearing is broken. But that's not a problem because we already did locate replacements for all of the bearings, and I did decide already I was going to replace them because of how far we've gone into this rebuild. So we do have 2 needle roller bearings to remove, but before I do that, I'm going to sandblast the main housing. So I know you guys would love to see the transformation as it's being blasted, but we can't put cameras in the cabinet because it just destroys them, and it is very difficult to video through the viewing screen. To blast it, I'm using glass bead. It is a very soft abrasive, and compared to garnet, it is very slow, but it doesn't do any damage to machine surfaces. So I've gone ahead and got that blasted. It took about an hour, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. So before we can start assembling everything and fitting our new bearings, we need to remove the old ones. But the problem we've got, we can't press it out and there's no room in there to get a bearing puller under it in order to draw it out. So what we're going to do is use heat with the TIG torch to heat up that outer race so it'll shrink and we can pull it out. And even though these roller bearings aren't damaged, they were available and were cheap enough, so we're just going to replace them. Before we can heat up the race, I need to get rid of a couple of those needle rollers so we can get the TIG torch to them. So I'm just going to use a die grinder to remove a bit of the top lip so we can get those rollers out.
Whoa. Is it the grease holding it in there, maybe?
Could be.
There we go. Oh, no. Come on. That's it.
So we've successfully removed those bearings. I'm just going to give them another clean up in the parts washer. To fit these new bearings, we're going to be using thermal expansion. So I'm going to put these two parts in my little oven and let them heat up. They're going to take a while to heat up. So we're also going to put in the bearings for the spindle. The bearings for the spindle are an NBR brand and they are an angular contact ball bearing. I'm just going to give the bearings a quick clean up with some brake cleaner, and that's just to get rid of the assembly oil. That way there's no residual burnt oil on the surface to complicate assembly. So those won't take too long to heat up, and I don't go over 120 degrees Celsius. That is the maximum thermal expansion rate of a bearing. You can smell it's cooking.
I can smell the cooking.
Aha, our bearings are ready. So that's our spindle assembled. Now we can fit the bearings to the other parts that have heated up. And the bearings are the exact same brand as the original. What they are is a roller bearing with machined rings, which we won't be using because our gears already have the wear rings on them.
Very tight.
Oh dear. So that second one didn't quite go to plan, but when something like that happens, it's very important that you immediately panic and grab something to hit it with. And I'm also going to be putting the quill in the oven to get that to heat up to expand so we can put the spindle in that. So I was a little concerned that might give us a little bit of trouble considering I had to hammer it apart, but what we did then worked perfectly. Now we can continue with getting the quill assembled. Adjustments from there. So something I didn't pick up on during disassembly is this hole that's in the side of the quill is not only for oiling or greasing your spindle bearings, it is an access point so you can get to the locking collar so you can put preload on the spindle bearings without completely disassembling it. So that is a really good feature. That is really well thought out engineering. I haven't seen anything like that on any of the new or modern Bridgeport style milling machines. So now the exciting part, we're going to refit this spring.
Do you need to be up higher? Or
I'm going to get on the bench.
wait, they're making a nest somewhere.
He's making a nest.
Hey.
We talked about this.
Uh-oh, on the inside of the rails. Whoa. No. Yeah. Oh my god. Not in on the back side.
That's it. Boom. So that worked out well. That's our quill assembled. Now we can get it into the main housing. But before I put that in, I need to fit the 4 main mounting bolts, because if I don't put them in first, I'm not going to get them past the quill. Now we can fit the infamous little grub screw, and I'm not going to be using a metal pin or a scotch key of any kind to lock that in position. What I'm going to use is a matchstick. It's strong enough to stop the grub screw from turning, but soft enough that it's not going to stop me if I need to undo it. So this next part should be pretty interesting. We need to refit the quill feed shaft and all of those internal mechanisms. Righto, so I finally got that quill shaft and all that feed mechanism installed. It is a little bit fiddly to make sure you get everything in the exact right place, considering there isn't a great deal of room in there, but we got all that working correctly. Now I can fit the adjustment screw that takes the quill from rapid to fine feed.
So where do you want it at?
Disengage it. I need to put that roll pin back through.
These come in handy.
So these champion kits that I have come in real handy, and we scored these in a lathe that we bought at auction. The entire swarf tray was full of various bits and pieces like drills and pretty much anything, and about 18 of these champion kits, so they have been awesome to have around. Now we're going to start assembling the components on the top of the attachment. Before I fit the gears, I need to fit a washer and a snap ring that retains the return spring for the quill. But I've realised that sleeve is sitting a little bit too low. I'm going to put a hose clamp around it and lever on it with a screwdriver so we can get the snap ring into place. So I have made a new end cap for that gear, and I did decide to make it out of nylon because it is a far softer material than steel. If it does get knocked back in and the gears do chew it up, it's not going to do any damage.
Tricky.
Righto guys, so that's the attachment pretty much completely reassembled, except for a few cosmetic things like the handles and the dials. All in all, that wasn't too bad. There was one part I had to go back and check the video, and that was the order of some of the internal components. But all in all, really happy with how this went back together. Next thing we're going to do is take this outside and get it painted. Now we've got that cleaned down with brake cleaner, we're going to mask everything we don't want to get paint on. So for the primer, I'm going to be using Dye Mark Etch Primer. It's nice, quick and easy to use for small parts like this. And for our top coat, we're going to be using Quick Dry Enamel in Zayer Blue.
There we go.
Probably put a bit much in there.
Oh my goodness.
Not that much.
Where is it, homeless? Where is it? Where is it? Look, what's that? Good boy.
That's all the painting completed, and we've let that dry for about 24 hours. Now we can remove all of the masking tape. So now that's painted, that has really transformed the look of this attachment, and the blue does contrast really well with the bare metal components. Once we refit everything to it, it's going to look $1,000,000. So if you recall from the disassembly video, these top two oilers were actually damaged and I was having quite a hard time trying to find replacements. I did find a few overseas, but there was nothing here. But then I realized I actually had a couple of these in a Huron slotting attachment that I have recently acquired that I'm also going to be rebuilding so we can fit it and adapt it to our Zayer. But what that means is I'm still going to have to try and find replacements for the ones I took out of the slotting attachment. There's just a couple of threaded holes. There was nothing in them when I got the attachment, but I'm just going to blank them off using some zinc plated grub screws. Next thing we're going to fit is a hand wheel for the Quill. As you can see, we haven't had it re-chromed. We couldn't find anyone locally that was interested in re-chroming it. We also looked at doing Cerakoting, but I don't do that and I don't know anyone that does. I also considered getting it nitrided, but I have never had any cast iron nitrided before and I didn't want to run the risk of damaging the wheel. I did think about not doing anything at all to it, but I'm not happy with the way it looks, so I'm going to sandblast it. And I'm just using the same glass bead I used to blast the housing. Because there's machine surfaces in the hand wheel, I don't want to damage them. That only took a couple of minutes. I'm just going to clean it with the air blower and apply some R56 and that'll just stop any flash rusting. And I'm really happy we decided to do that. That looks a lot better and now we can fit it. So that's all the original parts refitted. Now we can add the new parts that we've made. Righto guys, so that is our milling and drilling attachment completed. I'm really happy with how this turned out. So all up, there's about a day and a half in this, and that includes the disassembly, making all of the new parts, getting everything cleaned and blasted, and reassembling it. And the only thing we had to buy were the bearings. They were about $600, and everything else we had laying around the workshop. And if anybody's wondering, there were no parts left over. But there is one thing I'm not real happy about, and that is the brass plugs that are used to lock the Quill. They have been painted blue. I would have preferred not to paint them, but once I'd reassembled this, I wasn't able to remove them. It definitely would have looked spot on with that little bit of brass there, so I will definitely go to the effort to remove the paint off those plugs, but not today because I want to get this fitted on the Zayer. And the only thing I need to do to adapt this to fit on the Zayer is shorten the spline of the drive arbor by 35mm. With that done, something else I'm also going to do is drill and tap the end of the drawbar. That way I can put in an eyebolt and use my crane to fit this on the Zayer. Now with that done, we're going to use an arbor so we can lock our drawbar in place. That's our attachment ready. Now we're going to get our Zayer set up. First thing we're going to do is remove the drawbar. Then I'm going to fit our drive arbor, and to lock that in place I'm going to be using a drawbar bolt, and we actually got this from a scrap Zayer milling machine that we managed to salvage the entire ram off. Now we can rotate the universal head. Because it is made up of two parts, we need to rotate each piece 180 degrees. And if we were using this on a job, we would set up a dial indicator and tram in the head. But because we're only doing a demo, getting it lined up to the 180 on the scale will be fine. So we've got that locked in position, the head's all ready, now we can fit the attachment. So that fits spot on. Now I'm just going to add some grease and we can test run it. So first test run, everything works perfectly, everything moves really freely, it feeds nicely, there's no loud noises coming out of it, so now we're going to speed it up. So that's running really nicely, but I am going to increase the RPM up to 740, which is probably the maximum I will ever need to run this attachment. Righto guys, so that is this project complete. I'm really happy with how it's turned out and really looking forward to the new ways we're going to be able to do jobs now that we've got this attachment. But that's not the end of it. Unfortunately, the universal head does have a very noisy bearing in it. I do grease it before I use it, but before it gets any worse, I'm going to have to pull that apart and fix it up as well. But I hope you enjoyed seeing this rebuild. Stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, where's your stirrer?
Right here.
Oh, jeez.
Gouge rod. To blast it, I'm using glass To blast it, I'm using glass.
You need to do mouth exercises.
It's not the mouth exercise.
I think so.
Why?
Because it's like your mouth to brain, the connection of getting the words out.
Give me another go.
Oh my god, okay.
I did do. Drive, Help. Did I say that word right?
Nah.
What was after that? What?
Yeah, keep going.
No, say it.
It's very good what you're doing. Just start again.
Oh my god.
It's been one sentence. Okay, put in a bit of energy.
What do they call it? Sparkle fingers. Wait, spirit fingers. Wait, how do they do it? Righto guys, so that's the attachment completely much. And if we were using this on a job, I also considered there's something on the roof with a hammer. Right.
Is it Russell or Jeffrey? It's Russell.
Alright.
Is it like that's legit?
It's missing. The 10 mil is gone.
So thank you, Paul Kemp.
Savior.
Go in your hole. Do you want me to just your giant jumbo fingers? I could just, put it in.
I can do it. Well, it started.
Just let me do it, please.
You're not going to get it in there.
There we go. Karen did it in 1 second.
I got fat fingers.
Oh, you didn't think of the size of your hand. Let me do it.
I myself can
Oh
do
my
it.
god. I'll let you do it. What are you trying to do? Oh my god.
I nearly had it there.
Just ask for help. Yeah.
Right, put your fucking hand in there, hit the bowl there.
Ready? Yeah, grab it. See if you can grab that. There you go.
That was easy.
Oh!
Stay. Hey!